Welcome to the One Shot Effect podcast. This is our 13th episode with my brother Ian. We
What's up,
went
guys?
to high school together, believe it or not, and that
Yes, we
was
did.
now 3-4 years ago. So
3-4
where have
years
you?
ago, like 7 or 8, bro. 7 or 8 for sure. That was
Time
like ninth
flies, bro.
grade. Ninth grade.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, where have you been the last 7 or 8 years? Let's start on that.
Yeah. I've been in the U.S. I came here. I started 11th grade in a town called Fresno. It's like in the middle of California. No one likes it. It's boring. And then I started college in Southern California, and I've been trapped here ever since. But I'm escaping soon. So that's where I've
California
been,
sounds
California.
good, right?
Eh, it's all right. I want to be in New York though. Like I want like the city, you know. And then people are like, "Oh, you can just go to Los Angeles." Fuck LA, bro. It's sprawling. You have to drive cars everywhere. There's no good public transport. It sucks. New
Facts.
York is New
Yeah.
York is where it's at. I visited last year
Have
and
you
it's
ever
sick.
heard
So
of Tim Dillon?
Tim Dillon, who's that?
He's like this really great comedian, but yeah, I feel like he hates on LA too. But I feel like
Yeah,
everybody loves to hate on LA, anyways.
yeah. No, it is very easy to hate on it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have quite a couple friends in New York. Yeah, New York seems like the place to be, bro. Concerts like all the time.
If you like that type of energy, it's a place to be. But if you don't like it, then you have no reason to be there because it's very much. I mean, it's a very unique feel, and it is 100% that feel. So you have to want it for sure.
Yeah, what about it do you like? What are your experiences? Have you been there before?
Mm-hmm. I was there towards the end of last year. I did New Year's there. I was actually in Times Square for New Year's Eve, so that shit was kind of crazy. I had to stand there for 6 hours. My lower back was fucking killing me. Um, yeah, it was actually a terrible experience. Would not recommend
So you
that
stood with a
specifically.
bunch of humans for 6 hours.
That was cool. That was cool. That aspect of it was cool. I'll admit. I made a YouTube video about it, so go check that out if you want to. But no, it's pretty chill because I
We
snuck
can link
in.
that in the description.
Yeah, we'll link that in the description for sure. I snuck in. What am I allowed to like curse or talk about drugs? Like, what is like
Yeah,
what are my
sure.
boundaries here? Okay.
Everything's gone.
Okay, cool. So I snuck in a joint. Security was pretty tight, so like you can't have like a lighter, drugs, you know. But I managed. I got in a joint, and we're all standing there in this crowd, right? And every once in a while, like people would like our legs are getting tired, so people would just like crouch down. So you're like crouching down, and you're like in this like forest of people, and like so people would take turns crouching down. So I crouched down to hit my joint because I wasn't gonna smoke that up here because there were like cops every like I don't know. I don't know what would have happened, but I crouched down to smoke my joint, and there's like another guy also crouched down, and he like symboled to me. He's like, "Hey, can I hit that shit?" So I passed it to him. So we both like smoked down there. It was pretty fucking cool. I'll admit for that part it was cool. But anyway, New York was cool. It's like the what's it called? Street photography capital of the world, like for sure. And that's like my main jam. So when I was there, like I don't know, I just felt so full of joy. Like it just felt so. It felt like that's where I was meant to be. So yeah, lots of people.
How much time have you spent in New York total, and like how much time have you spent in different places in America?
I only spent 2 days there. So if New Year's Eve is the night of the 31st, I think me and my sister, we went there together. I think we got there on the day of the 30th. Are there 31 days in December or 30? We got there the day before New Year's Day, before the last day of December. And we hung out there, and then I spent the night with my friend in Harlem. And then we did New Year's, and then the next day we left and we went back to Baltimore. That's where my dad lives. That's in Maryland. It's near DC. So I've been to New York, Baltimore, DC, Chicago. Chicago's pretty fucking cool too. Um, some places in Oregon, a little bit of Washington, the state, in California, pretty much the whole thing. I've gone up and down it a few times. Um, I haven't really been much in the U.S. Pretty much just like those East Coast spots and like West Coast. The middle of America is pretty boring. So Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
So New York's definitely one of your favorite places, but then also what else?
Chicago was pretty sick too. Um, San Diego, I used to be a hater, but I went to San Diego and I hung out with some person there in like the downtown area, and it's pretty lit. It actually reminded me a lot of Cape Town, because it's like a city that's like on the beach, and like LA is also a city by the beach, but like it's not really like it's not like a beach city like Santa Monica, Malibu is, but the city like downtown LA is not like on the beach. It's like kind of inland, where San Diego is more like. You need something?
No, no, I'm all good. Sorry, just someone
Oh, cool.
walked past. I'm
Very
good.
good. With like more on the beach. Down here, Orange County is kind of similar to Cape, like Laguna Beach. You should look that up. It's beautiful. I drove past the beach one time, and I was like, this looks exactly like Clifton. Like if I was in Clifton right now, you know the area like where there's all the restaurants on one side of the road, and then there's a beach on the other side of the road, like that main strip. Exactly the same in Laguna Beach. Like it looked like I was in Cape Town. Yeah, like look at that. Like, does that not look like Clifton or something to you? Here, like, oh,
Yeah,
fucking
super
beautiful,
beautiful,
man.
bro.
Super beautiful.
But small. I don't know how to
Water's
get this.
warm. It's nice, but it's crazy expensive. So that's kind of the
So
areas
yeah,
that
a
I
lot of
live
people want to
right
live
now.
there, I guess.
Yeah, but
Oh,
you have to
you
be
live
like.
near here.
So I live in Laguna Niguel, which is like a little inland from Laguna Beach. I live like 10, 15
Low.
minutes away from there. I went to Laguna Beach this morning to watch the sunrise. But
Oh,
yeah, you can see
nice.
on the map there, it's like pretty, it's a little inland, but it's not far from the beach.
Wow.
So it's a pretty desirable area, but it's so boring. Like it's like suburbia to the max. It's very safe. It's like literally the safest city in America, so it's very safe. But usually when things are very safe, it's because they're just boring. Um, so
Fair.
like people here are always like, oh, I don't like the city because it's dangerous, or like, oh, I don't want to go to South Africa because like it's dangerous. And I'm like, just don't be stupid, bro. Like don't walk down some random alley with like your phone in your hand and your earphones in, and you'll probably be fine. Like have some awareness. But
Facts.
I get the desire for rich old people to live here. Like it is a nice community for sure, but like just not for me, and that's why I'm trying to get out. So.
What is for you, brother? What are your interests, and how have your interests developed over? Yeah, how has also like traveling affected your view of the world and just your life, I
Mm.
guess.
Um, I think traveling is the reason, like moving around and stuff. So a little history on that, I guess. I was born in the U.S. and then when I was 2, I moved to South Africa, and then I lived in South Africa, Pretoria and Cape Town until 2017, when I was 16 years old, and then I came back to the U.S. and I've been here ever since. Um, but I think like moving, I just have, I think an appreciation for uh, people more, if that makes sense. I think people that live in one place forever, they get very wrapped up in their own little community and kind of forget about everyone else. And that's why I like exploring other places and documenting it and sharing it with other people, because other people don't see it and they don't see it through like my unique eye. So that's what I like to bring. Um, I guess that's what I want to do, is I just want to show people other interesting things. Um, I guess it also makes me less scared to like move. Like I'm always in fact like I feel weird staying in one place. Like if I'm in one place for like 5 years, like it's time to go. Like that's why I gotta leave here now. I've been here since like 2019 and it's 2024 now, so it's time to move on to the next thing. And I think New York is the next thing. I'm hoping to move like early mid next year. So very soon. But yeah, and I think photography, just documenting what's around me, I think that lends itself to my travel stuff. That's pretty much all I'm into. Photography and like lifting weights, that's all I do. And I'm pretty happy with that, like I'm a very single focused type of person. Um, yeah, and then weights like I'm a personal trainer now, so I make money doing that. So, I make money doing what I love. Hopefully I can make money doing photography. That would be cool too. And then I'm happy with that. That's good enough. And being outside is pretty cool. So Yeah.
What's been your journeys of like getting into personal training, or what kind of challenges have you seen along the way?
Well, I so I started lifting when I was in college, um, because I was like always very skinny growing up, and I was like always wanted to like get bigger, but like going to the gym by yourself is very intimidating. Like if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're supposed to do, like, and just being anywhere new by yourself is intimidating. At least for me, I can get very anxious. But like I started college and there's this guy. I was working at Taco Bell at the time, and this guy he went to the gym and stuff. So I was like, hey man, can I go with you? And he's like, yeah. So he showed me the ropes, and then I started training, and then people started asking me for advice and stuff, and I found that I was pretty good at that, and people liked training with me, and I was like, I graduated college last year in June with a political science degree. I think because I travel a lot. And I started looking for jobs, and I was like, man, these all suck. Like, I don't want to do any of this. So I started looking for jobs that were outdoors or exercise related, and then I found this personal training job. And I've been doing that ever since. I think like a year and 3 months or something like that now. I love it. I do feel a little restrained in my company. We don't get to really do training however we want to. Like usually, the personal trainer, you kind of you set the program for the client, right? But this company, um, it's about a specific methodology, which is called super slow. It's a super slow method, which is proven, which is very good. It does work very well. It's the most efficient way to get stronger very fast for sure, because you're going super slow but very heavy weights. So it's just very intense, and the whole point, the way you build muscle, is just beating the shit out of them and then letting them recover. Like that's just how it's done. And so this way, with the super slow, you're just beating the shit out of them very efficiently and very safely. Um, but it's all on machines. And like I used to be a big machine hater, right? I think free weights are great because you have to stabilize your body, and in life you're not on a machine, you're moving with free weights, like the milk in the fridge, whatever, right? So I think it makes more sense to train the way the body moves in the real world. I think that's the point of training, at least to me, is to make the way that you move through the world more efficient and safer. Um, so I'd like to break away from my company and do my own thing. Not that there's anything wrong with the style of training that they do at my place. It's just not. It's I'm not as passionate about it as I would be doing more barbell free weight stuff, and I think that shows. And I think I do a better job doing what I think is better. So I think when I go to New York, I'll probably try for Equinox or something. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's like it's like the fancy rich people gym that they have in like LA and New York and Orange County where I am. Like you wouldn't have it in like the smaller towns. Like it's just like the elite people um train there. And that's the facility that I train at right now. It's very much like very wealthy people. It is very expensive training. It's definitely worth the cost. But if I know that if I can train people and charge them this much, and I'm not even like getting a commission off of it, like the pay structure at my company is terrible. I'll admit to that. But I know that I can, based on how much these people are paying to train with me, I know what my worth is, and I know that I can get that somewhere else. So that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Exciting, bro.
Yeah. What about
Yeah,
you, man?
personal training is really cool.
You've been on your own like journey, right? I think that's how you blew up on social media, right? Is your weight loss journey. I saw that reel. I show that reel to people all the time. I'm like, look at this guy, dude. This shit is amazing. It's very impressive. It's very, very impressive. Seriously.
As I'm eating a cookie right now.
Hey man, as a personal trainer, I will never tell someone to not eat cookies. I think you should. It's just all about moderation, right? It's about a balance.
100%.
How did you start to gain, like, because I wasn't the Felix that I knew, right? Like you hadn't gained all that weight yet, like when did that happen? How did that all happen? Was it during COVID? Like what's your story there?
Yeah, basically gained the weight over 2 year period, and then I lost the weight over 2 year period, and then everyone wants to ask like, how did you lose the weight? But yeah, what is the more important question is how did you gain the weight?
Hmm.
And I really gained the weight um, probably just eating to escape, but it was mostly just like unprocessed like childhood trauma,
Mm-hmm.
which is like that's the thing. It's like if you don't like process shit, it will hit you later in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of see it as like go through as much shit as you can now. Go through all your shit now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it now starts to feel like it was a while ago. But
It
yeah,
kind of
so
was
it's
a
a
while
journey. I
ago,
mean,
huh?
food. Yeah, I mean, food is the one drug you can't quit. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, really just kind of getting more, get that body to food connection a bit better, like understanding like how things affect you and kind of, I think it's like reprogramming your brain or like understanding your brain. I think the ideal space to get is to where you actually crave what your body actually needs, and also just
Mm-hmm.
understanding like if your body's craving this, maybe what it actually wants is this. Like your body might crave chips, but it's like craving salt, like fair, or it's
Mm-hmm.
like hungry. Then it's like have like protein or something,
Right.
or yeah. I
I
think it's
think
just trying to like understand your brain and body over
yeah,
time.
I think a big part of it too is really discipline because like for me example like I mean I'm not trying to like cut I'm not on a diet or anything right now but like if if you get hungry, like you can just like wait, you know? Just because you're hungry doesn't mean that you have to eat. And that's what people don't get. People think that, oh, my body is telling me I'm hungry, that means I need to eat. That is not true. Like your body is telling you hungry because it's used to eating this amount of food. Maybe you're not even supposed to be eating that amount of food. Quite frankly, you know, I'm not saying fucking starve yourself, but also like you got to be real and figure out what you actually need and start eating appropriately, you know? And like, so sometimes I'll be hungry and I'll just be, if you just wait like 5 minutes through those little hunger pains, they'll go away. And then you're perfectly fine until you actually need to eat. So I think it's about being intention, intentional about like what you eat and when you eat. Like I haven't been eating processed food for like fast food type shit for like a long time. I used to eat that like like I'd have In and Out like every single day just because it's like so delicious. And In and Out is probably like one of the better fast foods for sure, you know, I think. But I stopped eating that because I've just been like cooking my own food with like groceries and stuff for like weeks, maybe months now. That's pretty much all I've been eating. And the other day I was feeling lazy, and so I went to In and Out. And so at In and Out they've got like the regular burger, they've got the double double, which is obviously two patties, two cheeses, and they've got the 4x4, which is four patties and four cheeses. And that's what I get when I go there because I'm a big dude. I'm 6'4". Like to feed this body, like I need to eat a lot of food. Um, and but you know, a lot for me, like the amount that I need to eat is not what someone who's 5'10" should be eating. Like, you know, especially because I'm trying to gain weight, so I'm trying to overeat, you know. Um, but so I take a bite out of this 4 for 4, and remember, I used to eat these every day, and I loved them. I ate them every day, and so I take my first bite out of it, and immediately I felt disgusting. Like it just felt like my body had gotten so used to eating good, proper food that it just didn't want it. But, you know, I don't, you know, I come from Africa. I'm not going to waste my food. I'm not going to waste my money. Like, shit is expensive. So I obviously ate my entire 4x4 and, you know, it was pretty good. I felt pretty bad, but it tasted pretty good. And I got in the rest of my protein that I needed for the day. That's why I got it, honestly, is I needed like another 30 grams of protein or something, and that would give it to me. So that's what I did. But all in all, to say, I think being intentional about what you eat and how you eat it and when you eat it is very important and takes discipline, but that's what you got to do. I mean, your body is the most important thing as you go through life, right? You only have one. Like, your car will come and go, other people in your life will come and go, the place you're in will come. Everything comes and goes except for your body and your mind. And when people don't take care of that, it is extremely frustrating to me, especially like most of my clients are older. They're like 60s plus. So they're like older, and they don't know a thing about their body or how it works or how to train it. And I'm like, guys, like you've been on this earth for 60 years with the same body, and you don't know what like it's sad. But that's my job, is to now show them. And when I train them, I try not to just like make them do the things. I want them to learn. I want them to be able to take care of themselves. That's what's most important to me at the end of the day. Um, so yeah, take care of your body, I guess. A little rant there, but passionate
Bro,
about
I
it.
love
So
that.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you see yourself like educating people on taking care of their bodies, growing? Do you ever see yourself like making videos or
Yeah. So I've made a few like, so my YouTube channel is like vlogs and stuff, and I've made a few like fitness related stuff, but I'm not like a fitness channel. So I'm not like top 10 exercises to do for your chest. Like that's not what I want my channel to be. So that's not what I create, you know? But if I'm going to the gym on any given day and I'm vlogging, then obviously I'm going to put that in because that's what I'm doing, you know? I'll show some of the people the stuff that I'm doing. And I made a video during COVID, like that was more like that fitness type of content that was like exercises that you can do from home and workout Q&A or whatever. And I really want to do that again now, like years later, because like back then I wasn't a personal trainer, but you can see I was already making that type of content. So now it would be interesting to like revisit that, maybe answer the same questions, but just now with my professional experience and my years of experience, would be interesting. So I do kind of make videos, and then I have like 3 Instagram accounts, and one of them is like personal training focused. So I literally posted a reel yesterday or the day before or something about my lunch that I made. I was like literally like, my lunch is a personal trainer. Like it was very much that cringe type of like content, but that's what you got to do to grow your thing, you know? So I do make content about that, and I do plan to make more of that, because like that's, at the end of the day, like social media is the best way to market yourself. It's completely free. Like you understand, like you've seen how many views a reel can get that you post for free. Like no other marketing tactic on the planet in the history of time is as effective as Instagram Reels or TikTok specifically. So like I don't like short form content much. My YouTube videos I shoot horizontal, and they're like more of like film type shit, but like I understand and recognize that to grow during this current time, like you got to make short form vertical. So that's what I've been focusing on learning to do a little bit better. Um, so yeah,
yeah? What's your Instagram name again? Ian with two eyes or no?
yeah. So that's the photography one, but the personal training one is hugantic.ian.
Yeah, I see both your Instagrams. Oh, I was actually curious. So you like start by cooking the veg and then you add the sausage cut after?
Yeah. So the reason why I do that is because the vegetables just take longer to cook than the meat. The meat cooks very fast, especially at a high temperature. So that's why I add it at the end. I like to caramelize my onions, so I usually will add things in order of like how long it's gonna take to cook. Like I'm a very haphazard chef. Like I don't prep all my shit in advance. I will turn on the heat and put the butter in the pan. I always cook with butter because fats are good for you, and butter is delicious. It's a great way to cook. So I put in my butter, and then I chop my onion while the pan is heating up, and then I put the onion in there as soon as the onion is ready, and then the onion starts cooking, and then I chop everything else, and then I put everything else in, and then the spinach I added right before the meat, because spinach doesn't take as long as like carrots are like kind of thick, like those are just going to take more time. So this just comes with like practice and experience. I basically just cook the same shit on repeat. But if you cook the same thing over and over again, you learn like the specific timings of everything, and you can add things here and there. So that's why I cook the way that I cook. When I do potatoes, for example, like that shit takes forever to cook. So usually the potatoes I'll put in before I start chopping anything else, because it's just gonna take so long. So there's no point in chopping everything and then adding the potato, and then what, I'm gonna like sit there for 10 minutes while I wait. It just doesn't make sense. It's just more efficient for me, at least, to chop as I go. So yeah.
Yeah, I think cooking is definitely something you practice. It's definitely a skill. It's definitely something
Yeah.
you get better at. And I think so many things are like that. Like you have to figure out what's going to work for you. You're going to have to figure out
Mhm.
what foods you enjoy. Like even so someone can see
Mhm.
your short fitness meal or whatever, and be like, oh, copy that. But it's like find what ingredients you like and try
Mhm.
things. And it's really all about getting that mind food connection in the sense of
One
like,
hundred percent.
and that's even what you gave yourself when you tried that fast food again. How does this make my body feel? And life is really
Mhm.
just one long experiment of like,
Mhm.
cool, if you eat fast food, how does it make me feel? But the problem is most people are so blocked and disconnected from their body, they don't even feel when
They
the
don't even
food makes
realize
them
it
feel bad.
because they always feel like that because they always feel terrible, but they don't notice because that's just their baseline. But once you rise above that and you set a new baseline, like if your baseline is fast food, oh shit, Han. Okay. If your baseline is fast food, like that's just gonna feel normal. But if you level up your game, then now fast food is obviously below your baseline now. And it just like once you get your gut healthy, like it's yeah, no, you're 100% right. It's about testing them out, like what works for you. Um, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah,
So, what has been your journey with like YouTube? I was trying to find your YouTube channel. It's Ian with two eyes.
yeah. Also, Ian with two eyes. Yeah, um, yeah. So YouTube, I've always wanted to do YouTube. I mean, you know this, Felix. Me and Felix were gonna do a YouTube channel together. Actually, we were talking about this in like the eighth or ninth grade, or whenever I was at Westerford still. Um, we were gonna do like a good like not like a Good Mythical Morning type of thing, but like the concept of the two guys on Good Mythical Morning doing like a show together. So that was kind of like the idea. So we were both into that from an early age, and we both like came up. I mean, everyone our age has come up on YouTube. Like that's just like modern day television, right? Um, and so I always wanted to do it, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to do like maybe gaming content or something because like I was into PewDiePie and I like playing video games, so that just made sense. But I just never really took that step. And I remember when I was going to visit South Africa in 2018, after I had left to the US already, I was going to go in 2018 for my dad's wedding. And I was like, oh, maybe if I start making videos before then like I can make a video of me going to South Africa in 2018. I can make like a little travel vlog. But then I just never started. And during COVID, I was just sitting at home alone because it was fucking COVID and we were on lockdown and not allowed to hang out with anyone. And I was like, I guess I'll just do it now. And like I just did the first video and it fucking sucked. But it was the first video, so of course it's gonna suck. And like you really just have to start. And once I started, like then I was doing like one every other day, and I've had very varying schedules as life has been up and down. I've been very, very busy these last like 2 months, for example. So like I literally haven't posted anything. But my first video in like months is going up literally in 10 minutes. So that's pretty exciting. It's a pretty cool one. I made a reel for it too. But um, what was I saying? Yeah, so I just started making videos and I started making the videos that I like to make, and like I took a lot of my inspiration from Casey Neistat, like the way that he filmed. I really liked that, so I copied that. But then I was like, it's just not really my thing, so I don't do that as much anymore. So I guess I have a little bit more of my own. You get your own style over time, I guess. But I remember my mom used to always say like, um, hey, you should put your photos in your YouTube videos. And I was like, nah, that's a stupid idea. Like, I never take advice from other people. Like, I have to try it out for myself. So she was like, oh, you should do that. And I was like, nah, I don't even know how that would really work. Like, I don't know how I'd do it. So I just didn't try. And that's the mistake right there. You should just try because you don't know. Maybe you'll try and it'll rock. And then you're like, damn, I wish I had done this sooner. Or maybe you'll try and it'll suck. And you're like, glad I got that out of the way. Now I can move on to the next thing, right? So I started implementing my photos into my videos, and like I really liked that. And other people that watch them, like those videos that I make now of me taking photos, like people resonate with those, and I think that's like my thing now because like the days of vlogs are over, unfortunately. At least right now, like compared to like what it used to be, like mid 20 teens or whatever, like they were having their heyday. But now, no one gives a shit, right? Like no one cares about you unless you're famous, right? Unless you're like, if some NFL football player started vlogging, people would watch that because they care about him already. But like me, some rando, no one cares. No one cares, you know? And so you have to bring your own sort of like, you have to provide value in some way. The vlog is the entertainment, but you have to provide some sort of value. Casey Neistat was doing the New York thing. His value, probably part of why I like New York so much, was because I watched his videos. And like his value was showing people New York, showing people his lifestyle in New York. That's what it was. It was about his lifestyle in New York. It wasn't just Casey Neistat living his life. It was the New York thing. And photography is my thing. Like that's the talent that I have, you know, and that's what I'm, now that I'm bringing that in, I think that can really be what will grow my channel from just being some random vlog to being like Ian's photography vlog or whatever, right? Like that's the unique thing. You have to stand out. There has to be something unique. And so if people like my photos or they like seeing someone taking photos, that's what they're going to be drawn to. And then they get attached to the personality afterwards. But you have to bring something that brings them in. And photography is that thing for me. I like personal training and like weightlifting, and that could be my thing. But I don't want to be like a fitness influencer. Like for me, like fitness, I enjoy it. It's a hobby for me and it's very important. It's a part of my life. And I make money doing it. But like the true passion is in photography. So I'm trying to just really focus in on that. And I think if you just really focus on something like social media, like if you do it right, like it'll work. So that's what I'm trying to do now because like there's so much competition, but like there's so many people out there not doing it. Like I don't know any other people making YouTube videos besides you. Like maybe like two or three other people, but on like a consistent basis, like no one, you know? And that's those are the only people that are going to make it on YouTube or Instagram or whatever social media are the people that actually try. And I'm trying. And I think I'm going to, I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but we'll see how it goes. That's part of why I want to move to New York too. I think that'll take it to the next level. Like right now, I'm just taking photos randomly in Orange County, but it's fucking boring. Like I don't feel inspired as a photographer here, and people are going to see that. And I think if I'm in a place like my newest video, we can link that one specifically, is me taking photos in Elysian Heights, which is like this hillside community in Los Angeles. And it was just so beautiful. And I just loved it. And like, it was so much fun. And like, so it wasn't just like a vlog of my day. Like it was a vlog of me walking around taking, like it had a focus. And, you know, that's what I need to focus if I want people to focus on me, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
100%, bro. Yeah, so it's not that. So you have In with Two Eyes meeting the
Yeah.
best cornhole players in Origin.
Yeah. So meeting the best cornhole players in Oregon. I went and I visited my family up in Oregon, but obviously I didn't say hanging out with my family in Oregon because no one gives a shit. I have to like clickbait them a little bit and be like the best cornhole. Like obviously we're not the best. We're not like champions at cornhole, but like as I was making the video, it became about this game of cornhole, and it was really fun. So that's what the video became, and like that's something that I don't like about YouTube currently is it's very format the Mr. Beastification of YouTube. We should talk about that because he just got canceled. But like the Mr. Beastification of YouTube, in that like it's so produced and they're like, this is what we're gonna make a video. They make the thumbnail before they make the video. I detest that. That is, I mean, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but that's not my style. For me, as a vlogger, I guess that's because I'm a vlogger. I'm not a producer or whatever. Like, I just film what I'm doing, and then I'm like, the story starts to present itself. And then, like, I'll be like filming my videos, and like now, like, I'm already like editing it like in my head. Like, I know what shots I need to get. I know like what music I'm gonna do. Like as you do it more and more, and I'm sure you can attest to this, like you start to see where it's going once you're in it. Like at least once something hits, that's when you know it's gonna be a good video. When you can see where it's going in your head before it even happens, then you know you've got a good one coming. So yeah. So the new video is gonna be called Photo Hunting in Elysian Heights.
Yeah, you got the title
Yeah.
already sorted, but you didn't pre-take the
Well, so
thumbnail.
I didn't have the title sorted. I only sorted the title yesterday as I was editing it, right? But I knew the video was going to be about that because, so little context here. Um, there was this girl that I was kicking it with in Elysian Heights every few weekends or so, and I went there to meet her at like 5 at her place, and she's like, "Oh, I got caught up in a meeting. Like, it's gonna be like another hour," and I'm like, okay, I could sit in my car on my phone watching YouTube, I guess, or I could, I enjoy walking around taking photos of shit. Like that's literally my thing, and I had my camera, so I was like, why don't I just walk around and take photos? So I just walked around and take photos, and I was like, this would make a good YouTube video. So I just started like vlogging it on my phone. It's really unfortunate. I prefer to vlog with my camera because the quality is just so much better. Um, but I only camera nerds will understand this, but I only use prime lenses, which are fixed focal length, so I can't zoom on my lenses, right? They're set to a certain distance. Um, so if you want to vlog with your camera, it has to be 25 millimeters or less, so you get that wide angle, right? I've got my camera right here. If I have this 50 millimeter on here and I'm trying to vlog, it'll be like so tight on my face because I can't zoom out. So I need a different lens for vlogging, but I don't like taking photos with 20 millimeter. I like taking photos with a 50 millimeter, but I can't vlog with the 50 millimeter. So then you have to have two cameras because the photo is more important to me than the vlog. 100%. That is, I'm not going to sacrifice my photography for my vlogging at the end of the day. So that's the choice that I make is I guess I'll just have to vlog with my phone. Um, I have a GoPro too, so I could film with that. Ideally, like, I don't know, I guess I'd have two I don't know. I don't know. But for right now, I'm just filming with my phone while shooting my camera. So I got into just taking photos on 20 millimeter because I was like, I have to vlog on 20 millimeter, but it's, that's, I'd rather sacrifice the vlog than the photos because that's the thing. So yeah. But yeah, I was walking around taking those photos. It was really cool. And it was cool because at the end of the video, a little teaser so you can watch the end. Um, at the end of the video, okay, I guess I won't say what happened tonight, but at the end of the video, there was something that was more interesting than just me walking around taking photos, and it kind of completed the arc of the video. So I thought that was cool, and that just randomly happened. Like but it fit into the story well. So I'll leave it at that. Very vague, but got to get that retention.
Hell yeah, bro. Yeah, congrats on the YouTube channels, bro.
Thanks.
Bro, you're such a good speaker, for real. You're so naturally good at like speaking and like vlogging. But I hear what you're saying with the two cameras. Like less is
Mm,
always more, and like
yeah.
especially with creativity, it's all about the time between ideation and execution. And like you're saying, having multiple cameras that can all complicate that process. So we got to be
Hmm.
careful of that. And like less is more. Like in the ideal world, you'd have a camera that could just do both, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
dude, vlogging is an interesting thing, and like, even taking photos. But it's like if you can't do it where you live, like,
Then you
like you
have to
should be
move.
able, you should be able to, but you should be able to practice it where you are. In the sense of like,
Exactly.
you can't just be like, oh, when I travel, then I'm gonna vlog. But it's like you
Yeah.
should be practicing like wherever you are, so that you have the habits of
Yeah.
recording, editing, taking photos, whatever the process might be. But it is interesting that you even like including photos and vlogs. Like that's even something I think about. I'm like, I've been doing vlogs like even more recently. Like I recently
Yeah.
did one and actually like did pretty well. I was like pretty impressed.
Mm.
Um, but
What was that one
yeah,
about?
it's like
I don't think I saw that
I
one.
went. I did like a Hout Bay shipwreck, like nudist beach, good title,
Oh,
good
okay, okay,
thumbnail.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was a
That
vibe,
was
and
a
like
good
I went
thumbnail
with
for
a
sure.
couple people, and then I like posted it on Instagram. I tagged all of them. Some of them reposted it, so it's like,
Mm.
and that's even like with the podcast. Like I've been like big on collaborating. Like each time I post a podcast, like I'll usually make a clip or like two, and then I'll like post it and tag the guest as well. And usually they like
Mm.
accept it as a collaborator, and it's like, but it's so important to collaborate with people just in general to like
Yeah,
grow social media if that's your goal,
definitely. That's why I need to move too,
or
because
involve
I
other
want
people
to.
in the vlogs as well as like you even just
Yeah.
tag your friend or even just send it to your friend that was in the vlog, you know, and like
Mhm.
realizing like just understanding what your goals are, right, and like
Yeah.
understanding what kind of vlogs you're trying to make, like who you're trying to
Yeah.
appeal to. But even me, I'm kind of realizing like while I'm in Cape Town, like I can make some cool Cape Town vlogs. It's like while you're in wherever you are, you can make some cool wherever you are vlogs.
Mhm.
But then it's like I was like, for me, it's like oh, I don't want to give away the hidden gems kind of thing, or like for me,
Nah,
it's
man. Fuck
the
that.
dabbling.
Fuck that.
It's like
You can't gatekeep.
that.
Nah, you gotta share. I think that's the joy of it, right? Like
Fair.
sharing what you really, sharing what you really like. Maybe keep some things to yourself, I guess. But
Yeah,
like,
privacy is like so. Yeah,
yeah.
maybe that's even another question. Is like, what's the boundaries of privacy, and like, what
Mm.
would you not record, and what would you vlog, and what's been your learnings of that, and how many? Yeah, I mean, me and you, we've both vlogged quite a bit. It's definitely an
Yeah.
awesome art form, and yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious. Like, yeah, what have you learned about yourself for vlogging, and just like how your vlog style's evolved, and yeah, privacy.
Well, I have a lot to say on when it comes to privacy, at least, because I do not hide any. I don't put the exact number of my address, but like, you can, over time, the places that I live in, I vlog around it and in it, and you can see my front door in lots of videos. So if you can see my front door and you can see some of the other streets around it, like, you could figure it out very, very easily. So like, someone, I'm not gonna say what I was about to say, because I don't want it to happen. But like, I definitely like, yeah, I don't hide anything,
Bro,
and
one of your
especially,
mega fans is definitely watching this podcast right now.
yeah, they're
Going
gonna
back to the
fucking,
YouTube channel.
they're gonna kill me, bro. Yeah,
I mean,
no.
let's not say that, bro. Let's not say that.
Word, word, word. But oh shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so I since I vlog, unfortunately, the nature of that is that, oh my god, it's so hot in my room. Is that I, because I'm showing what I do in my everyday life. Like, if I have a girlfriend, they're in my everyday life, and they're gonna become a part of the vlog. And so, like, for example, so my first girlfriend, I wasn't vlogging yet. My second girlfriend, I had already started vlogging before I met her. So she became a part of my vlogs. At first, I'm always very uncomfortable putting other people in my vlogs because I feel like other people are uncomfortable. Like, I don't want them to feel weird about like me putting a camera in their, like, that's weird. Like, I understand that that's fucking weird. Like, you're just trying to hang out with your homie and now they're like doing a whole YouTube thing. Like, that's bizarre unless like you're both YouTubers or something. Like, then it's normal. But if people aren't used to it, like, it's just strange. So, or maybe I just think that and people don't think that, but I don't like putting people in it because I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. But after a time, like, I'll like start showing them a little bit and then they'll feel comfortable and then I'll feel comfortable and then we'll just like go all out. And so I dated her for like a year or something. She was in a bunch of my vlogs because again, I'd see her every single day. So like, the choice is then like, do I just not vlog or do I not have a girlfriend? Quite honestly, like, there's no, like, so I just have to put them together. So we broke up and I asked her, I was like, hey, like, do you want me to remove the videos? Like, of course, if someone tells me they want them removed, I'm gonna take it down because that's that's a person, and I respect people. And so she was like, "Nah, it's cool. You leave it up." So that was lit. So if you go to YouTube, you could totally see her. Those are some very fun videos too. So that's also like, I don't want to take them down because like, they're good videos. Like, I like them and I like looking at them and I want other
Bro.
people to see them. Like, if I take them down, you're gonna miss half a year of my life. Like, that, there's going to be a hole in my vlogs. So that's what happened when I started dating the next girl. She was in a bunch of my vlogs. We were dating for a year. and I was like, hey, do you want me to remove the videos? And then she said, yeah. So I didn't delete them. I privated them because I don't think you should delete any content ever. So I privated them. And now there's just like this gaping hole. And it's just so unfortunate because not all of those videos were 100% about her. Like there was other shit going on. So like some of the videos where like she's only in a bit about it, like the vlog was about something, but at the start of the day, like you could see her eating breakfast. Like those I'm going to leave up because like sorry, the video is not about you at that point. So I think that's fine. I guess you just kind of have to pick and choose. But um, then we broke up, and then I was vlogging for a while just by myself, and it's really interesting because you can see like the videos like now I'm all alone. Like you can see the progression of my life through the videos, which I think is fascinating. But then I started dating this other girl, and she wasn't in my vlogs at first because I was like, okay, I learned my lesson. Let's not put a new girlfriend into my videos. I don't know if this is gonna last. And so I put her in one video, and then like a week later, we broke up, and I was like, shit. Now I have to delete that video, and that since then there was a big gap. There was no videos, so it's just super weird and awkward. So then it's funny. This other girl from Elysian Heights, where I took the most recent video. Um, I say in the video, I'm like, oh, if I find myself in Elysian Heights, just hanging out for an hour, like the reason why is because I'm waiting for this person. And I remember like in the vlog, she was watching one of the vlogs that I was making before, and then she's like, "Oh, why don't you say I'm here to hang out with my girlfriend?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, like maybe we'll wait a little bit on that." And we broke up. So I'm glad I didn't put her in my videos because then those videos would be gone and I would have wasted my time and there would be a giant hole in my YouTube history. So I'm learning. So that's something that's definitely a learning curve. Um, yeah,
Do
don't put
you
your
think
partner in your thing.
unless, or is there like,
And
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's a
no.
tricky balance
Unless you're married, I
because
mean, one of them was cool with it, right? One of them was like, yeah, leave them up. So I guess it depends. So I'm definitely gonna do it, but like maybe waiting like a month or two at least, right? Because like then if you've been dating for a month or two and then let's say you break up, then maybe they'll still be like, "Oh, it's fine. You leave it up. It's cool because you guys have built like some form of trust and respect for each other over time." But if you're only dating each other for a week, like you're still basically strangers and they're not going to want to be on your YouTube channel, like obviously. So, I think
or
waiting a
they're
little
too
bit.
enthusiastic to be in it.
That is
But
true.
this is
There
this is
was
maybe more if you're like famous
like
vlogger.
already famous. Yeah, no, definitely. So I don't have to worry about that yet. Yet keyword. But there was this one girl who I met on a dating app, and like we were talking. She's like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, should I tell them about the YouTube videos?" Because like vlogging is kind of cringe. Like I'll admit it. Like I like doing it, but to an outsider, like it's cringe. I get it. Making YouTube videos about yourself, it's pretty narcissistic. So I'm like, should I tell them? But like, they're gonna find out eventually. Like, I may as well do like the photography thing too. Like, they're like, oh, can I see your Instagram? And then I'm like, okay, it's not even photos of me. It's just photography. So that's fine, I guess. But like, I sent her my YouTube channel. She watched like 10 of my videos before we even met. Like she like watched like all of them, and when she came over, she was like fangirling. It was like bizarre. And when we met up for the first time in person and she came over and she came to my room, I was like, so this is my room. I always feel super awkward when someone comes into my room for the first, like, what the hell are you supposed to say? I'm like, here it is. I don't know. So I'm like, so this is my room. And she's like, oh, I know. I've
Here's
already seen
Johnny.
it. And she's like, already, like, she knows, like, where the stuff is in my room because she's already seen, like, so that was a weird, kind of surreal moment. It didn't make me uncomfortable. I actually thought it was kind of funny. And because I'm so narcissistic, I guess I was like, damn, that's kind of cool. She's like obsessing over my videos and we hadn't even met. So that felt pretty cool. But yeah, so that was weird. But yes, that is something that I guess I will have to think about in the future. But like, I have a pretty good read on people. I think I choose, I don't want to say choose, but I guess choose is the right word. I do choose very specifically. I don't go based on just like looks or like, so I don't think that someone could trick me into that because I'm already very specific and picky. So some hot girl isn't gonna be like, oh yeah, like let's date, and then I'll be like, okay. Like I'm not gonna fall for that shit because I don't date them based on just if they like me. Like I have to like something about their like soul first, and that doesn't lie. So yeah.
100%. So it sounds like you had a proper taste of a parasocial like relationship. But what I'm really saying with that is someone who knows you a lot more than you know them. And what's
Mm,
interesting is like if someone gets to know you, like, hey, they can just watch your videos to catch up on your life. Which
mm,
even if they asked you, like, hey, what's your life story? You would never be able to tell them all the things that are in those videos, right?
yeah, yeah. But I do this when I hang out with someone new, be it like a friend or um trying to not be disrespectful, like a woman that I'm dating or just like hanging out with a few times or whatever. Like I show them my videos not because like I'm like, oh look at me, I'm so cool, but like that's what I do. Like this is my hobby and I am proud of the work and I do think it's cool and I do want to share it. So even though it's cringe, I'm like, hey, you want to watch my YouTube video? Like I don't know, it sounds super stupid, but like I don't know. I think it is a good way for people to get to know me a little better. I can be like, hey, look at this. Like people are like, oh, you've been in New York, and I'm like, yeah, let's watch my YouTube video of me in New York, and then you can see exactly what I did. Like my family will ask me like, oh, like what have you been up to? And I'll be like, oh, I'm posting a vlog tomorrow, so just watch that, and you'll be caught up. I've gotten so used to just posting content and showing so much of my life through there that like now I don't even know how to talk about what I do without it being through the form of media in a way, which is kind of bizarre. I remember like I post stories I post stories every single day. I post stories quite often. I'll post like 5 to 10 stories. I mean, I just post so much just because I don't know, it's fun. Um, and so one time I didn't post on Instagram stories for one day, and my mom called me because she was like worried that I was like dead or something was wrong because I hadn't posted on my social. She's gotten so used to like that is like her primary form of, well, I don't want to say primary form, but one of her biggest forms of communication with me is just seeing my stories and seeing what I'm up to on a day to day basis. So when she doesn't see that, like she's like, oh, something must be wrong. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess
Wow,
I
bro, that's
I
such like
put
a
yeah
new experience. Like I'm not even
yeah
sure how many parents daily see their kids' Instagram stories.
Yeah, my grandma, we made her download Instagram specifically so that she would be able to keep up with us. I think this is part of because, like me and my siblings, I think this is partially because of how we were raised. My parents were missionaries, and they had, when we were in South Africa, they had a blog that was about our family. And because the way they survived is they got money, like people donated to them because they believed in the work that my parents were doing. And they had to market themselves because you're essentially running like a business at that point, kind of. And like they marketed themselves and our family through like this blog. So I think even though we weren't involved in making these blogs, like that's how our family in the US kept up with us. That's how my friends in South Africa keep up with me. That's how when I'm in South Africa, my friends in the US keep up with me. Like I've gotten so used to having half of my life in one place and half of my life in another place. The internet is the only way to keep everyone updated, And there's so many people, like I'm not gonna remember to text the 10 people in South Africa and the 20 people in the US. Like, let me just post it on my Instagram story, and if you give a shit, you'll follow along. And if you don't give a shit, fine. Then I don't have to bother wasting my time figuring out who should I text based on who cares. Like if you care, you'll see my stuff, and if you don't care, you won't see my stuff. Perfect. Like I I like social media a lot for that. Yeah, I think it's just very ingrained in my life at this point, really. Um, for that
I
reason, I
relate to
think.
you there, bro. I think me and you are
Yeah.
both big uploaders. They say the
Hmm.
first version of the internet was like like read only, basically. Like
Mhm.
people would just Google and they would find information. But now we live in the social media where like people are posting stories, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think one of the things that really holds people back, I spoke to one of my favorite music artists about it. It's called
Mhm.
Kyle, Super Duper Kyle. He wrote
Okay.
"I Spy with a Little Eye," that song. Anyways,
I'm not
he was
familiar, but I'll
saying
look it
like
up.
the thing about music, but I mean, so is vlogs or posting to the internet, is you have to be okay with failing in public. Like,
Mhm.
or not even failing, but like you're gonna get better. Like hopefully in 10 years your videos are better. But what that
Yeah,
means is your videos now compared to then aren't gonna be as good. So you have to be okay
definitely.
with that and you have to understand the process and you have to start
Definitely.
somewhere, you know? And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
and I
even vlogging
yeah.
in your hometown. I mean, so many people can be like, "Oh, I don't vlog because my life's not interesting." But it's like your life is interesting to others. To you,
Mhm.
it's normal.
And so when I started my vlogs during COVID, I was teaching myself how to skate because I had nothing to do. So I would just go skate around the local community college. So that's what I vlogged. And like, I'm not a good skater, like, but that doesn't matter. The point of the video is not look at how good I am at skating. The point of the video is more like look at how much I suck at skating and like I'm gonna get better at it, and you get to watch and see. And like you said, like the videos get better over time. Like my videos used to suck. Like I look back at them and I'm like, man, this is so boring. Like I will go on my phone. Like that's how I know if I'm watching my own video and I'm going on my phone. I'm like, this stinks. Like it's if it's not grabbing my attention. And I still kind of suck. I was watching my newest video that I made. It's always good to watch it with another person because before you upload it, because then you're seeing it through someone else's eyes. Even if they don't say anything, you're just mentally seeing it through someone else's eyes. And I was showing my landlord my newest video, and the first YouTube you have to cut. You have to go to the next thing, next thing, next thing. Like you have to keep people engaged by changing the shot or changing the shot. Like something has to be changing. Like every 8 seconds, I think is like that's the number that I've heard, and that's kind of the number that I keep in my mind. But like the first minute of my video is so boring. Like I need to just like you have to start doing the thing. And Mr. Beast taught this to everyone. Like you have to show what's coming up. You 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 have to kind of jump around a bit because you're not watching a movie. When people are watching a 2 hour movie, they're dedicating themselves to watch they know what they're getting into. They know that they're going to watch a Christopher Nolan film about Batman, and that's what they want to watch. So they're going to sit down and they're going to focus on that. But when people are watching YouTube, they're going to watch the thing that is the most entertaining to them. They're not I mean, sometimes you'll watch like a nature documentary or whatever, but most times when you're watching it for entertainment, you're going to watch whatever is the most entertaining. So your video has to be super entertaining in the first 30 seconds. And if it's not, they're going to click on a different video. And that's just the nature of it. And that's what I'm still learning and that's what I'm still trying to get better at. But I'm also trying to push back against it a little bit because I don't want to just I don't want to make my content for YouTube. If that I don't want to make it the way that YouTube is designed, unfortunately. Like I want to make the content that I want to make, and if I want the people that watch it to seek it out. I want them to actually want to watch it. It's not just some cheap fucking entertainment garbage. Like I want them to be dedicating themselves to watching it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not what I'm seeking. And I understand that that makes the growth much slower, maybe even impossible. But if I'd rather grow on my own terms, and if I have to sell out and do content that I don't want to do to grow, then I'd rather just not grow, quite frankly. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the journey that all content creators have to go on. It's like creating
Yeah.
the art for yourself and creating the art for others.
Yeah.
And I mean, what kind of helps me with that is like some videos might just be private. Some videos
Mm,
might never see the light of the day, and it's kind of
mm,
understanding that separation and that privacy as well. But it's like
mm.
one of my favorite rappers. He said someone once said to him, "Do you want to be known as an artist, or do you want to be known as a content creator?"
That's a
And
good question.
late capitalism, modern social media, a lot of musicians are kind of being pushed by algorithms into
Mhm.
becoming content creators. You look at
Yeah.
Picasso back in the day; these incredible artists. No one
Mhm.
knew what they ate for breakfast, but
Mhm.
now like
If you
Instagram
want to grow.
exists, and
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, the art, like, I wouldn't make videos if it wasn't for YouTube, right? I make them for YouTube. I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not a cinematographer. I am a photographer. So for me, the art is the photography, and YouTube is hopefully the medium to which I can get my photography brand out to the world. So it is about finding that balance. I have to, like, that's why my videos are a little bit more like why they are the way they are now. Like, I'm making it, I want it to be good and I want it to be something I'm proud of, but I want people to see it, because if they don't see it, it doesn't really matter. For me, it doesn't matter because I'm not making it for the art of making the video. I'm making it so that people can see my photos and so that I can grow my brand. So I, yeah, I'm more, when it comes to YouTube, I'm not an artist. I'd say I'm a content creator. Um, yeah, yeah.
which then I mean, as like if I had to be a YouTube strategist or whatever, I
Mm,
would like consistency. I would say making clips. My
yeah.
biggest advice for you, if you leave this call like with, but if it fits your vision, and that's also another question.
Hmm.
It's like there's so many ways to do things, but what I've really been enjoying is like I'll do like a short video as like a trailer for the long video, and with short videos you can
Yep.
link to the long video. Is a way to try and convert some of that short form audience into the long form.
100
But then it's
percent
also
because
like that short video should also kind of be standalone for the people who only consume short form. But then it raises a question: are you creating a short form audience and a long form audience? And now you get a lot of YouTubers who reach 100K real quick on short, like
uh-huh.
through short form views, but they struggle to
Hmm.
convert those viewers to long form. But I think as long
Yep.
as you can create that link, or can
Hmm.
like, yeah,
I'm so glad you brought that up because the video that I made yesterday for YouTube, my horizontal video, this is what I've been doing recently is I make my video, right? The way that I want to make it, just my long form, it's not even that long. It's like literally 3 minutes. It's one of my shorter videos, but I make the video and then I convert it into vertical format, right? So now I have to re fucking frame everything, which is annoying and tedious, but that's just what you got to do. So I make it vertical and I clip it up. So it's still telling the same story, but it's just shorter. So I make it for both. I make the long form and then I also make the short form for reels. So now I'm gonna post the short form. I should have posted it 20 minutes ago, but it can wait until after this call. I will post the short form, the reel, right, on my Instagram, and then I post the reel on my story with a link to the YouTube video. So now you see the reel, you're like, that looks kind of interesting. I want to watch the whole thing if you want. And then you can go to YouTube. If you don't want to, just watch the reel. And that's okay because it can stand alone. But I do also do the trailer type of thing. If it's a long, like, I can't do a trailer for a 2 minute video because a 2 minute video is a fucking trailer. But like, if it's a 10 minute video, I will make, I will clip up like a little highlight reel, just like clipping from random stuff so that it like grabs people attention, and then I will put that at the beginning of the long form video, right? So that people are like, "Oh, what's gonna happen? That looks crazy," and then they watch the whole video. But then I'll also post that. I'll make that trailer vertical and post that on Reels. So you have to do both, and that is what I have been doing. So I'm actually I'll send you the reel as soon as we're done with this. But yeah, it's cool. I've been trying that more for sure.
exciting, bro. Yeah, vlogging
Yeah,
is really cool. But yeah, like lately I've been vlogging a little bit. It's just like to practice that skill again. And it's
yeah.
like
Do you
sometimes I
like
dabble.
vlogging?
It's like
Do you
it
like
can be
vlogging, or do
fun.
you do it because you think you need to?
Sometimes it's fun. But
Mm.
that's also where I'm like the dabbling that like journey is like daily. It's like repetitive. It's like numbers easy to track. or it's like
Mm.
only vlogging when there's a good title or a good thumbnail or a specific kind of event. And
Mm.
it's like, what do I want to vlog? Like sometimes I struggle to vlog like when I'm around others. Like for
Mm.
example, if I would go to a yoga class, I would like struggle to vlog that, or like even at gym, like
Mm.
and like I feel like there's just so much like gym vlogs already. Like I'm not sure if
Mm.
that's where I want to go with mine. Anyways, like for me, what's more interesting is like the inside of like how am I feeling before gym, how am I feeling after the gym, and like
Mm.
seeing even like is that video different? Oh, maybe you should go to gym because then maybe you'll feel different too. And it's really
Mm.
tracking like how do I feel and like how did I get to feel how I'm feeling today. And it's like if I had a good day, record that, cool. And then if I have a bad day, that's probably where I could also work on more is like how to like high highs, low lows, or like trying to show the lows as well, and like show that journey. Like I think it's
Mm.
very easy for social media to be a highlight reel, and there's nothing wrong necessarily with that. But I'd be curious,
Mm.
like even your thoughts on that. Like, do you mostly show good stuff? Is it good vibes? Is there a certain vibe you're going for? And like,
Mm.
what any notable vlogs that stand out, or just yeah, but I think
Yeah.
short form could be an interesting thing for you in the future. But yeah.
I will say there. I think there is something wrong with only posting the good stuff on social media. Personally, if that's all you want to post, like I'm not saying you have to post you being sad. Obviously, it's your own socials. But the primary issue with social media to me is that when you go on Instagram and you're having your normal everyday life, which is a normal day, it doesn't even have to be a bad day. You're just having a normal day, right? Working or going to school or whatever. You go on Instagram, all people are posting is the good shit. So you see, this person went clubbing, this person went to a concert, this person's in Mykonos right now, this person's doing this person, like, oh man, their life is so cool. Their life is so much better than mine. I'm a fucking loser. My life is so boring. My life sucks, you know? But you follow 500 people on Instagram, right? You saw 10 Instagram stories that looked really cool. That is 5% of the people showing the best day of their fucking month. It might not have even been a photo from today. It could have been a photo from fucking 2 months ago. And so it's giving people this incorrect idea of what other people's lives are like. And it's false. And I think that's the main issue with social media. And I think if you're only posting the good stuff, I think you're a part of the problem, quite frankly. You don't have to post the bad stuff again, but I think for me, myself personally, I think it's important to post the bad stuff because not because I'm trying to show people that I'm going through it, but like if I post the good stuff, like why would I not post about? Like I'm trying to keep people updated on my life, and
Mm,
sometimes my life fucking sucks, and I want people to know that because I don't know, maybe I want someone to reach out and be like, hey, you good, bro? Like that's again, this is like my primary form of communication with 80% of the people that I care about and that care about me. So I think it's important, and I think you are doing a disservice if you only post the goods. I have a YouTube video literally called like anxiety, and it's just me talking about how anxious I've been. That's the entire video. There's another video of me in South Africa on my most recent trip there, and life is good, life is great because when I go to South Africa, it's a good time. That's my home. That's where all my friends are. Like I love it there, and all of a sudden, all my videos were like fun time, fun time, fun time. And then at the end of one of my videos, I can't remember which one it's called, but like it's just me sitting alone in my homie's house, and like he's gone, and it was the first time since I landed in South Africa that I was by myself, like in a house by myself the entire time that I was there. It had been like a month and a half, and it was my first time, and I was like vlogging, and I was like, yeah, I just feel so lonely and sad right now. And when I watched that video, I'm like, damn, that's cringe and pathetic. Why the fuck would he post that? Like, if someone sees that, they're gonna be like, damn, what a loser, right? Or like, oh, he gets sad, but like, yeah, man, I do get sad, and that's just reality. And like, there's another video where I talk about like, there's a video called Went Down at My 21st Birthday, and because that's the birthday that I had in South Africa, and like the entire video, it is not about my birthday at all. It's actually kind of a misleading title, honestly. I wasn't trying to clickbait people, but now looking back, I'm like, maybe not the greatest title, but um, literally all I talk about is before the party because I'm at my friend's house because we had it at his house, and his parents were talking upstairs, and they were like laughing together, and it made me like, it's making me feel sad now, but like it made me like cry. Like I literally started crying because like my parents would always like argue and stuff, and I talk about that in that video because that's real. And like, I don't know, maybe people are like, oh, you shouldn't put your parents shit on there, but like that's my life, and that's my story, and that's what I was feeling at that moment. So I think it's important to share that. I feel like I truly feel like it's dishonest for me to not post something like that. And anyone can have their own opinion on that, but that's where knowing that that is the primary issue with social media, I would feel irresponsible feeding into that. I wouldn't feel good about doing that. So,
I think, yeah. I mean, if you give a, I mean, I think looking back on your life, it'll be a full, true, honest testimonial of what it means to be human and what it meant to be you, and it's
mhm,
really a cool legacy to leave. You know, it's
mhm,
crazy to imagine one day someone could watch your YouTube channel and you're no longer around. But I
mhm,
think wherever you end up in life, successful, unsuccessful, whatever the fuck that means, your
mhm,
videos will leave clues. Oh, maybe you should do
mhm,
this. Maybe you shouldn't do that. And I think that's infinitely valuable. And like you say, the more honest you are with that, the more valuable it can be. And I mean, you often say like people don't care, but I think people care. And I think sometimes
mhm,
people just need like to watch like a literal random ass video of some random ass person be like, oh yeah, that's what I could do with my day. Or oh yeah, I
mhm,
felt those same thoughts. Oh yeah, I've had those same thoughts, but I didn't have the guts to speak it and to
mhm,
realize how important speaking things are or can be. You know, I see vlogs as video journals, right?
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
do you see the importance in recording something? Like if you were in your friend's house, no camera, and you're just speaking these words, doesn't really hit the same.
mhm. What do you mean?
Like do you see it like is it like do you see it as like video journaling? Do you also like see the value of journaling and just like
Mm.
speaking things into reality as opposed to just having these thoughts? Like is it important to like record them, and like do you think more people should have YouTube channels or
I think for me, so I think everyone's different. I do want to touch on a point I made earlier about how you're doing a disservice if you're not posting about sad. That that's in my industry. That's in vlogging. If you are a fashion person, maybe it wouldn't be appropriate to talk about how shitty your day was because that's not why people are watching your videos. But I want people to watch videos for me, so that's why I put that in there. So that firstly, but I'm very much a verbal processor. That's just how I figure things out. Like journaling, I can journal, but like talking it out just works much better. From like I need to talk to a person, or I just need to say it out loud. And I have found that vlogging, and I didn't even mean to do this, has been an extremely useful outlet for that because then I do get to just talk all these things and figure out my emotions. And like you said, it's like a journal. I can look back on it and be like, man, I was doing really bad back then. Now I'm doing way better. That's awesome. Um, and like I I think it's actually been very beneficial for me because I work a lot, and when I go to the gym, I work out by myself, and when I take photos, I do that by my like I do a lot of my things by myself. And like if I didn't have the camera to like I'm not just gonna talk to myself like a fucking crazy person in my room. Like that would just be weird. So like even though vlogging kind of is that, like I don't know, that's not what the intention is for it for me, but it is a useful outlet, and that is I have found it beneficial in that way. But I don't think everyone needs to. I mean, other people process in their heads, or other people process by writing it down. So I think they should do whatever works best for them, for sure. Yeah.
100%? And like what has kind of been your journey with like mental health or just like
Mm,
yeah, or like yeah, you talk about like where you were and like where you are now. Where were
yeah.
you and where are you now, and what's been that journey?
Yeah, there's definitely been quite the journey there. I life in South Africa was very good, but also like with my family situation at home, like it just that fucking sucked. And like home is supposed to be like where you go and feel good, and home did not feel good for me. Not like I wasn't getting like abused or anything, but it just wasn't a cool environment to be in. Um, and so I think I don't know if I was depressed yet, but it was definitely not great. And then when I came to the US, I think that's when I did become depressed. And the first 2 years or the first year or something was really, really hard. And I just didn't understand why. I was like, I don't know what's wrong. Like something, like I knew something was different, but I just I didn't know what it was. Like I just couldn't understand what the hell was wrong with, like I just didn't get it. And something was wrong, and it took me like a few years to figure out like that it was that I had left South Africa and I had left my home and my friends, and like it was just, I missed it. I really did miss it. And I really, when I went to South Africa again, like I think I was maybe depressed the entire time until I visited South Africa in 2021, which was like 5 years, 4 years maybe. Um, and it took me going back for me to realize like that's what was wrong. Because I went to South Africa and I was like, wow, I feel great again, and I'm with my friends and I'm home, and it like I didn't realize that it was home. You don't realize what you've lost until you've like you don't realize what you have until you've lost it. But I didn't even realize it after I lost it. I had to get it back for me to even realize what I had lost. Um, and I think I developed some pretty bad social anxiety. I think from in South Africa, I always felt, and I don't know if other people viewed me as this, but I always thought that other people viewed me as an American when I was there, right? And then I came to the US and now everyone sees me as a South African. So like I just never really quite fit in, and I always felt weird, and I'm like, "Oh, how am I supposed to act like the term code switching?" So for those that don't know, it's more common with black people, but like if you're, for example, a black person and you are now interacting with white people, you change the way you talk, you change your mannerisms, the way you hold yourself, because you're trying to fit in with this crowd, essentially. And that's definitely what I do. And I think that's because I grew up as a foreigner, and then I came back and then I was a foreigner. So I've learned to, I mean, it's not something that I do consciously, but it is something that I do. And I think that code switching doesn't have to be a bad thing, but I think it can turn into social anxiety, constantly thinking about how others are perceiving you and if what you're putting out is appropriate, essentially. Um, so I got pretty bad social anxiety, but I think like as the years went on in through college, like it was still pretty bad. I don't know. Honestly, I'm still going through it for sure. But it's just something that you get better at dealing with, and like you just find healthy ways to cope. Like I'll catch myself like, yeah, I'm still learning every day. I remember one time I was hanging out with this girl in South Africa, a friend, and like I was like, let me intentionally try to be not try to put out a certain thing. Like let me, like if it's quiet, then I feel like I have to like say something, or like I have to feel like I have to walk a certain way. But you shouldn't feel like that with your friends. You should feel comfortable. So I was like, let me see if I can try. Like I had to intentionally be comfortable, which is bizarre, but like that's something that I was like, let me just try just sitting here and like seeing where it goes. And it was a blast. And we talked about awesome things. And because I wasn't being conscious about it, and I was really just being more present. So I think being present is very important. I think I found photography to be, maybe this is why I like it so much, but when I think I definitely enter the flow state when I'm doing photography. I think for me, photography is just about noticing the things around me and paying more attention to the things around. It's about not, when you're thinking in your head, you're like blind. You cannot hear, you cannot see, you cannot smell, you cannot taste, right? You're blinded by what's in your head. And photography is a way for me to really ground myself. It's almost like a meditation. It's getting out of my head and noticing. I mean, it's literally just being present is all it is. And so that's why I like taking photos. And I think the more I take photos, even when I'm not taking photos, I'm just walking around, but I'm looking around and I'm noticing. So it's definitely just made me more present in my everyday life in general, and I do appreciate it for that. And that's also what I try to share with people through my photography is like just fucking like look for like a second. Like the world is so beautiful. Even like the way that like the light hits like a trash can on a certain angle. Like if you can learn to appreciate it, like everything is so beautiful. And I'm like almost like tearing up talking about this, but like I like sharing that and like I want other people to see too. I want people to learn to see again. You know, like today I woke up this morning. I drank pretty heavily last night. I usually don't drink, so when I do drink, like I go all out. And so then I woke up this morning at like 6 a.m. because like that's just when I naturally wake up. So I was like, I could lay around or like, why don't I just go to the beach? Like I live right here. Like I'm paying so fucking much money for my rent, bro. Like I gotta take advantage of that. So I drove down to the beach and before I put my phone into my pocket to go to the beach, I was like, I'm just gonna leave my phone in my car, and I'm just gonna go to the beach with nothing but my keys. Like usually, you like walk around with your AirPods in, listening to music. Like I'm like none of that. I'm just gonna sit at the. I didn't even bring my camera because in a way that can also bring yourself out of noticing because now you're just hunting for the photo, right? But like I'm just gonna sit here and just I mean, I was just meditating essentially. I just went to the beach and I just sat there and I just watched the sunrise and it felt uncomfortable. I'm like, man, I'm hella bored. And like, I was thinking in my head, I was like thinking about all these things. And then I was like, let me try to not think about stuff for a second. And like, I was like, let me breathe. So I'm gonna like inhale and then hold my breath and then exhale, like just try to breathe for a second and focus on my breath. But in halfway through my first inhale, like I was thinking about work, and so I cut it off, and I was like, nope, gotta start again. And I was like, I'm gonna do 3 breaths uninterrupted, just thinking about my breath. And it is so incredibly hard if you don't practice it, because no one does it. You know, no one does it anymore. We've always got our phone, we've always got something to look about or think about, but like you really have to be intentional. I don't know why that word's so hard for me today. Intentional about being present, you know. And some people would think that meditating is is nothing, is thinking about nothing. But when you're thinking about nothing, you are thinking about something. The something is nothing. Nothing is something. Like if you're the whole point is to focus on just one thing. And if that one thing is nothing, that's what it is, you know. So I don't know how I got to that, but yeah, meditate. It's good for you for sure.
Meditation. It reminds me. There's these. I can recommend like two organizations. There's this really cool one
Yeah.
called the Art of Living. So they teach a breathing technique that can like be done regularly in the mornings. But what is
Mhm.
nice is they also have like follow up group sessions. I mean,
Mm.
they're definitely in the US, but they're also in South Africa. So I've done
Mm.
their courses maybe like 3 or 4 times. Highly
Interesting.
recommend.
Okay.
But it's like a nice like breathing technique. You can there's even like online kind of, but it's best like do the in person program. But it's like a
Mhm.
really nice breathing technique, like to do in the morning
Mm.
kind of stuff. And
Mm.
then I've also done the Vipassana, which is like a 10-day silent meditation retreat. But yeah,
Really?
just to
Oh, I
add
think I
on like
yeah,
how important meditation is and how
I saw
how
that.
rare
Yeah.
it is, but there are definitely are organizations trying to educate people, but that's the
Mhm.
thing, do people want to learn? Maybe it's a
Mhm.
valid
It's
question. And do
I
people
mean
even
it's
want to go? I mean, the Vipassana is like you can't pay, you can like donate after you've done it, so it's like these things are
we
like
have that here
it's
too.
at
We
times
have that here
free,
too.
right? It's
I've
like you
looked
can't
into that.
even pay
Yeah.
people to meditate, or and that's the thing,
Mhm.
right? Anyone could do push-ups on their floor, people could jog on the spot, and it's like people
Mhm.
know generally what's healthy. People know
Yeah.
vegetables are pretty good for you, exercise is pretty good for you, chips is probably not good for you, fast
Huh.
food is probably not good for
Yeah.
you. It's like we know these things, but it's also like realizing that knowledge isn't enough. And it's like
Discipline.
there's a step.
You really
Yeah,
need
there we go.
discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah,
What's
like
been
it's
your
not
journey
even
with
about
discipline?
with discipline. Man, I when I was a kid, I had zero discipline. I mean, I still kind of don't have the greatest. Like I don't like doing what I don't want to do, and I don't like school. I don't like studying. I cannot study. It is impossible. Like I'm a very much a practical learner. Like I like reading books, but like tell me to like study a textbook after five, like I can't even, it's just not possible for me to do. Like I just
Well, I
can't
think
do
it's
it.
almost like like it's like the things that you were taught when you were younger, maybe you just weren't interested in, which created a weird
Yeah.
relationship with learning. But it's like it's not like you don't like learning. Maybe
Yeah.
studying is just the wrong word. But it's like you're
Yeah.
obviously learning when you read a book, and maybe you're just more of a practical learner, or maybe you just
Yeah.
study in different ways.
Yeah. No, definitely. And no, because of that, like I just didn't study at all. And like even when it came to like sport, so like I did ballet, I should have been stretching every day. I never did that shit. I was in scouts. I never wanted to go. Like I just was so fucking like lazy. And what I've learned over the last few years is whatever you do, like it it, it doesn't take that much to get ahead of the average person in anything. It really doesn't. If you just dedicate yourself to it and put the time and effort into it that's required, obviously find the thing that's worth your time. Like that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Like I could go all in on personal training, right? Get certified a bunch of different ways, make it my YouTube thing, make it my reels, do it every day, really focus, and then I could do it. But I don't want to, you know? Whereas photography, like that's my thing and I'm now dedicating myself to it more than ever. And like I'm just so much more successful at things now than I used to be. And I don't know if it was just because I was a kid or because I've gone through some sort of personal growth in the last few years, but just just really try. Just really try and you will get ahead. And it's hard. It's hard to be disciplined, but like can I this is kind
It's
of a
hard to be poor. It's hard to be overweight. It's hard to be
fact.
unfit.
It's just
So you gotta
choosing
choose your
your
heart in
battles.
life,
Yeah,
brother.
exactly, exactly. And this is something that I'm gonna make a YouTube video on soon, actually. And I'm pretty uncomfortable talking about this, but I think it needs to be talked about more, even if it, I don't know, even if people look at me weird for talking about it. I think it's important, so I'm going to anyway. But like porn, like when I turned 12, I watched porn for the first time, and then I watched porn. I don't want to say every day, but at least, well, I at least like jerked off like every day, like from the age of whenever I started when I was 12 until literally like the age of 20. You know, every day. Like that's an addiction, is what it is, and like I've been practicing not doing that, so I haven't been doing that for a while. But especially porn, I haven't watched porn in like 10 months. I don't know many other people that can say that. Lots of people would say that, but that's just because they're fucking embarrassed to watch porn. I don't, and like I don't think there's anything inherent like I don't know. Other different people have different thoughts on porn. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I think if you watch it constantly, then that's a problem, and it's gonna fuck up your relationships, and it's gonna fuck up the
And
way that you
above
treat and
all,
interact with women. Yeah.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'll
go
let you
ahead. Go
finish.
ahead.
But like above all, it's not like necessarily porn that's the problem. It's like why are you watching it? Are you craving
Yeah.
connection? Are you self-regulating your hormones in some sense? But it's really
Yeah.
understanding why. And I think
Yeah.
addiction is really true addiction is honest in a lot of ways when you don't know why. It's like if you're eating
Yeah.
food when you're hungry, okay, then why are you eating this food? Or if you're hungry and you're eating chips, like, is that
Yeah.
really the reason? Or if you're hungry, if you're so hungry, you would eat the asparagus too, then, right? And
Right,
it's like
right. No, that's exactly true. Yeah, I think I
just getting
maybe
to
you're
the
right
real
then. Maybe it
truth, which is
wasn't
often it's
addiction.
something
Yeah,
else.
yeah. Maybe it was just being horny, I guess, or whatever. But like practicing not doing that, so fucking hard. If you do it every single day, like it gets worked into your routine. It's the same as waking up
And
in the
part of
morning,
your
you know?
body, it's like part of your body's self-regulation, your body, like,
Exactly. So like it
whatever it
feels
might be. It's a
weird.
it's a dopamine debt that you're putting yourself
Yeah.
in, or your body's like, oh, I'm gonna get dopamine from this. It might even be having regular coffee, whatever it might be, anything you
Mhm.
do regularly, or
Yeah.
eating that fast food every day. Like, your body's gonna get used to these rewards and stuff. And it's like a lot of people are like, oh well, I only drink after work, or I only smoke after work, and then it's like their body's waiting for that dopamine hit. But it's just
Yeah.
being like mindful and understanding that head to substance or
Yeah.
head to whatever connection.
Yeah. I've been cutting out more and more things like that. I think porn was the first thing that I cut out. And then like alcohol, very rarely do I drink. And that's just because it's really just poison for your body. It's really not great for you at all. Like there's fucking zero benefits besides social lubrication. But even then, that's really a downside because if you're practicing only being able to be social with alcohol, that's a problem. That's a problem. I think it's hard if you get used to drinking when you go to parties. It's hard to go to a party without drinking, but you'll get better at it. Like everything else, like it sucks at the start, but you'll be so much better off if you just stop, you know? So that, like marijuana, I used to smoke weed every day. Like, not anymore. Jerking off, not anymore. Like, watching shit on my phone before I go to sleep, no more. Like I'm just cutting out all of that extra shit because it's none of it is good for you, you know? And I think like if you watch porn and you jerk off or whatever, then like you're probably less likely to seek a relationship with a woman. Like even if it's not conscious, like subconsciously, part of why part of why the big reason why you connect with a woman should be, or a partner of any gender, should be because like romantic interest, right? But part of it is also just like attraction and your hormones and trying to get laid. Like that's just part of the human condition. That's just biological. Um, and if you jerk off, you're releasing those hormones that were supposed to be used for something else. And so now you're not going to seek out those relationships as much. Like you're really, it's the same thing as the drinking, right? Like if you only go to parties and you drink when you go to the parties, like how are you going to do it without the alcohol? You're really just shooting yourself in the foot. Same thing for jerking off and watching porn, is now you're not going to seek out those relationships as much, which are far more important. Far more important. Like yeah. So that's part of why I've been cutting it out too, because like, I want a wife,
Quick
so
dopamine or real
long
dopamine?
lasting goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
I went to a really fascinating talk today on like psychedelics and just plant
Mm.
medicines across the world. But really, what the lady was saying is like there's so many better social lubricants than alcohol. But the question
Mm.
is, why is alcohol the like legal pushed one? When there really are so many alternatives, and obviously now we're in the modern world. There's a lot. I mean, I recently went to a 0% alcohol bar here in Cape Town. There's no
Okay, that's
alcohol, but
cool.
they've got like scaletium. There's like THC in the one drink. It was very little,
Really?
but I mean, it's like
What
there's
the fuck?
alternatives being explored more.
Wow, Cape Town ahead of the game, dude. That's sick. We don't have that here. We have some like non-alcoholic bars, but we don't have like weed infused drink bars. That's lit.
Well, yeah, South
I do
Africa
remember though.
legalized weed recently, which has definitely
Yeah,
been a rapidly
good for you
growing
guys.
thing, I
Good
guess.
for you guys. Yeah, I remember. So here, mushrooms are not legal. They are a Schedule One drug, which means if you have it, you don't even have to use it. If you have it, that is a felony, which means you can go to jail. Um, so yeah, so I do mushrooms anyway. But like not very often. I don't think you should do them all the time because like for me, I mean maybe you could if you want to, but for me personally, the the spiritual journey that I go on when I do shrooms, like it would lessen the effect if you did it all the time. I like how special and how amazing and how strong the feeling is. So I choose to only do it very rarely so that it'll have that profound effect every single time. I remember one time I went to this party, this beach. It was a party on the beach with like a fire, and it's pretty cool. And I thought the beach was very close to me. I thought the beach was like 10 minutes away. So, shrooms takes about 30 minutes to like hit you. So I ate my shrooms and then I got in my car to drive there because I was like, okay, it'll hit once I get there. So I'm not driving high on fucking shrooms, which would be crazy. And so then I put it in my map and it's 30 minutes away. And I'm like, oh fuck, because I had already eaten the shroom. So I was like, now I just got to get there as fast as I possibly can. So I'm like driving there, and I'm starting to feel it hit, and I'm like, oh my god, and I was getting so anxious. Anyway, I get there safely and fine, and I arrive, and it was the best party ever. It was so much fun because like, and I wasn't drinking. Like other people there were drinking, but like I just had my shrooms. I was good, bro. Some people wanted some shroom. Some people were like, "Oh, you drinking?" I'm like, "No, I took some shrooms." They're like, "Oh, do you have any?" And I was like, "Yeah, here, man." And I just like gave some to them. They all did shrooms. It was fucking sick. And like that party, man, wow, best party I've ever been to in my life. And it's not even like I was like tripping the whole time. Like I was engaged with people. Like I was having conversations. It just felt so much better. Like it just felt so good. Like especially like being on the beach. Like I mean, a beach party is like I mean, shrooms. You should. I mean, it's better I think to be outside. Like if you're like inside at some house party, maybe do some fucking ecstasy or coke or whatever. I would not recommend coke. I don't do coke. But like a beach party is a perfect place to do mushrooms, and I do think psychedelics, I mean, shrooms have been proven to lessen the effects of depression. It has been proven to, like, in some cases, end depression. And I think it has done that for me myself. When I take shrooms, like, for a good amount of time after that, like, what it does for me is when I'm on the shrooms, it makes me realize certain things and it grounds me and it makes me realize, like, everything's okay. Like, it's fucking fine, man. Like, don't stress so much. Like, it's just like it's chill. And so then it's not like that those thoughts go away when I'm not high anymore. Like I had the thought and I remember the thought and it's been ingrained in my head. And now after the trip is over, I'm like everything is fine. Like everything is fine. And it's not like now I'm some dopey fucking idiot not accomplishing anything. It's just like now like I just don't stress as much about certain things and like I I would highly recommend shrooms to people. I mean, like weed is cool too. I think that's fun, but I think shrooms is far more profound and far more beneficial. Um, that's been my favorite drug so far. Shrooms, for sure, 100% hands down. Yeah, I've had some pretty bad experiences on it too. I'll be real. I mean, with anything like I remember. Do you know 2001: Space Odyssey?
Is that a movie?
Yeah, it's a movie by Stanley Kubrick. It's like from the 70s. I'm gonna totally age. I don't know when it's from. It's from the 1900s, the 70s or 80s or 90s or something, or maybe the 60s. And it came out during the time when a lot of people were doing shrooms, and I didn't know this. So lots of people would. It's the one with Hal. It's the one with the AI fucking spaceship, and he's like, "You're gonna die" or whatever. It's like a very classic. Um, I mean, like Wally is basically based off of it. But anyway, so I'm like watching this movie and okay, so I took some shrooms this day and I was like, oh, I'm like reading my book and I'm reading what is it called? The Snowden book. And I'm like, man, like why don't I just watch it? I think it'd be so much more interesting to watch it while on shrooms. So then I start watching the movie on shrooms and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This is such a boring, like why would I watch this while on shrooms? So then I look up like trippy movies to watch while on shrooms. So I start watching 2001: Space Odyssey and man, that was a trip. But like once it ended, oh my god, like shrooms will not change anything. It will only make you realize things, at least for myself. So if your life is going good, it'll be like, okay, cool, life is good, good shit. If your life is going bad, it's gonna be like, you got to get your act together. You're a piece of shit, fucking pathetic loser. Like, get it together, type of thing, you know? And that's what happened. Like, the movie ended, I was tripping. The room was so dark. There was like fast food. So I lived with other roommates. This wasn't my stuff, but there's like fast food trash and like cans like all over the place. Like, it just looked like I was living in a fucking sty. And it just made me feel terrible. And I was like, this is terrible. Everything sucks. I wouldn't recommend this. This was not a good experience. But it was pretty bad. And I was supposed to go to a movie with my friend, and I was supposed to meet him there at the theaters. And I was like, there's no way I can drive right now. I'm tripping. I'm not gonna drive. And I told him like, hey, can you just come get me? Like, I was gonna bail because my experience was so bad. And like, if you're having a bad experience, it's really hard to get yourself out of that because it's already your brain making you have the bad experience. Like, your brain can't. The brain is already fucked. Like, it's not gonna save itself. Like, you kind of sometimes need an external force, or some stimulation. Um, and so it was going terrible. My friend, I was gonna bail, but I was like, nah. And so then he comes over, and like it was terrible, terrible, terrible. And then he knocked on the door, and I was saved, bro. Like, instantly, like, it changed everything. I was like, okay, now I'm going to watch this movie with my friend, and it's super fun. I made a YouTube video about that. I think it's like called like watching a movie on shrooms or something like that. But like, yeah, all in all, I would recommend shrooms. Just be do it with if you're doing it with people, do it with people that you trust and that you know and that you love. Because if it's anyone that you like feel insecure around or anxious around, it's only gonna make it worse. It is only gonna make it worse. So do it around people that you feel extremely comfortable with, and it'll be fucking lit. Um, so yeah, that's my rant about shrooms.
I wanted to ask you, like, maybe just one last kind of question before we end.
Sure.
We can always do
Yeah,
another podcast in the future. I
I
think
think we
this is
should.
already one of
This has
my
been fun.
longest podcasts, but it's
Yeah,
been
this has
really
been going well.
flowing, and I definitely want to
Yeah,
watch that movie. I'm busy downloading it right now.
cool.
Um, and yeah, let me just ask one last question, and then
Yeah.
if you got any closing thoughts. But I just wanted to ask, what has been your experience of like your political studies degree, and has that
Hmm.
influenced your content or even your interest in fitness? And yeah.
So the reason why I chose political science was once again because I'm really extremely well, it's twofold. It's partially because I'm lazy, and when I was looking over the degrees and looking over what classes you have to take for each degree, I majored in political science, international relations, because I was like, that's my life has been international relations, seeing how different people interact. Like, that is, it just makes sense. And so I took it because I felt it'd be the easiest, and quite frankly, it was easy. I didn't study a damn thing. I did extremely well. I passed all my classes. Like, shit was easy. But I also took it because I actually wanted to be the ambassador to South Africa from the US. I thought that would be an awesome job. I get to live in South Africa. I get to get paid in dollars. Like, doesn't get better than that. But when I graduated and I started looking at the requirements for the job, something struck me. It said part of the requirements, whatever, you're serving U.S. interests abroad, and I don't want to serve U.S. interests because I don't believe in U.S. interests. I'm not a patriot. I don't like the politics in this country. Um, so I ended up not going that route because I don't think I could do an honest job of I, I don't want to help out the U.S. abroad. Quite frankly, I think the U.S. fucks shit up abroad. I don't think they do good stuff. Um, but I liked it a lot taking that degree because people are very dumb when it comes to politics, and that's okay. You can educate yourself. What you cannot do is spread misinformation, even if it's unintentional. You might not be trying to nefariously spread misinformation, but you cannot say this person did this person did this based on what other people tell you or based on what you see somewhere. You have to do your fucking research, and it astounds me that people don't know that, especially now during the Trump era. I mean, thank God it's over, but during the Trump era, like, um people would just say things that were just not true at all. And no one would speak up to it and no one would call them out because other people don't know and other people aren't educated. So I've always been educated. I've always educated myself on politics because it's our world. Um, so I've always been a voice in those conversations. But now that I have a degree in it, I feel like I have a voice of authority in it, and I think that's very important because I don't want people spouting nonsense, and I want to call people on their bullshit, and now I can. So that's why I studied political science. Um,
Would we ever see more
yeah,
political content, or even just more like talking to a camera content, or do you prefer like
you
more
know, I
outside
have
photos, vlogs?
I have thought about that recently because there are all these like political streamers and stuff on Twitch now. Like that's getting very popular, and politics is growing on YouTube and stuff in general. Um, so maybe, maybe I
Streaming
would
is
start
definitely
like,
interesting and definitely something we can
yeah,
like talk more about. And it's definitely
complete different
for
beast.
me, I see it's like short form content cool, but what's the
Mhm.
step further than that? Live streams. And you see it in South
Mhm.
Africa when the rugby's on, everybody's watching.
Mhm.
The other day I was
Mhm.
driving during the rugby and like all the masculine energy was off the roads. It was a beautiful
Yeah,
drive.
that's awesome. I bet. Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I think I would like to talk about politics because, and I actually have once. I made a video called, it's some, I can't remember what it's called because I took it down now. It's something to do with George Floyd. Maybe I should take it off of private. The reason why I privated it because I was talking about George Floyd. I was talking about the protest because I think people are just not educated, and I like to educate people. I like to share. Same thing with my photography. I want to show people this thing. I want to enlighten you. Same thing for politics. Like I want to enlighten people. And I'm not like saying like, oh, you have to believe what I say. I'm just like telling you the fucking facts, okay? And like there are facts. And so I was talking about George Floyd shit and BLM and shit like that. And at the end of the video, I was like, send this to your racist uncle, wink, wink, because like, families here, like they're very split on things like that, including my family. I was kind of calling out my own uncle. My dad's side of the family, his cousins, they're kind of rednecky, hicky type people. And like, yeah, so I was like, send this to your racist uncle, haha, and like winked at the camera. And then, I always post my shit on Facebook. Oh, I forgot to do that on the last video, but I always post them on Facebook. And after that, he unfriended me and everyone in my family on Facebook. And then shortly after that, I don't think immediately after that, but I did take down the George Floyd video because that's just not what my content is about. But I think I'll bring it back up now that we're talking about it, and I think I will post more political content because I do think it's important and I do think it's valuable. And
And
it's what's
more than
going
that, I
on.
think it's a big part of your identity and like who you
Yeah,
are and like what you're actually knowledgeable about. So actually,
yeah,
you would
no,
make quite good videos about it, right?
yeah. The only reason I hesitate is because I'm worried about. I guess I shouldn't hesitate because I'm just worried about like not making it the best way or like not saying whatever. But that's the same reason I didn't start making YouTube
I'll
videos in the first
I'll
place.
send you
So I
this
think I
one
should just
guy.
do it.
There's this guy. He literally grew up in my neighborhood, and like he's pretty
Okay.
like successful now. But he basically started like yeah, like a political commentary thing. I mean, South Africa's politics is crazy, right? And there's definitely
Yeah.
not like enough coverage on that. But like he's done really well with it. I'll send you his channel. It's definitely a good
Yeah.
like
Please.
example of how it's been done. And like, yeah, it's
Mm.
definitely a demand. But yeah, live streaming is super interesting. And then yeah, it is that journey of like making what the viewers want to see and what you want to see. But I think
Yeah.
bigger than that, it's definitely about like creating your niche and just creating the only videos that only you can make. Like I'm always like, well,
Yeah.
anyone can film in a gym, but it's like the gym
Mm.
people who pop off. It's like they got personality. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
got humor. They got it's more than that. Right? It's more than
Yeah.
weights,
No,
right?
it fits. Yeah. It's not just a person. Not anyone can do it. It has to be something that fits your whatever. Like for me, it's photography and possibly also politics. Can you hear me? I think my AirPods just died.
Yeah, I can. But yeah, let's end it. Any
Okay.
closing thoughts from your side?
Um, Nah, check out my shit though. On YouTube, Ian with two I's. On Instagram, also Ian with two I's. It's Ian is spelled with two I's, so it's IAIN, and then with two, like it's a play on the word. So Ian with two I's, and then check out the personal training one too. That one's pretty small, and I want to blow that one up. But shoot,
And I think you need to reach 100 subscribers ASAP.
Definitely, bro. I don't know how I'm not there yet. Shit is embarrassing,
Facts,
honestly. Like,
bro.
what am I on? 85 or 70 something? 90. Okay, I'm at 90. So 10 more. We're basically there.
So yeah, everybody smash that subscribe button. Like by the time you're watching this, he's probably on like 1 million subscribers, got the gold plaque. But if you're watching this before that, make sure to subscribe. And if you're watching this after that, make sure to subscribe. So
subscribe anyway.
Thanks for watching, and it's been a great podcast. Thank you for your time, Ian.
Yeah. See you, gang.